Tonight is finally our reservation for Pujol. Pujol is perhaps the most famous restaurant in Mexico. It is much fancier than my kitchen setup here right now. And I'm super excited to try it. The chef, Enrique Olvera, has been on so many TV shows. Chef's Table, Final Table, Somebody Feed Phil, and tons of other things. He really is supposedly the kind of original chef in town who really started the Mexican modern cuisine movement. We made our reservation 2 months ago. So we're definitely gonna be on time. It's not until 9:45. The reservations are really weirdly done. There was a few during the week that were starting at 7:30, but for Saturday night, getting one for dinner was pretty difficult. So we're gonna have a pretty late dinner, but I'm super excited. We're gonna get all dressed up, a little fancy, show off my new haircut, and let's see if it's worth all the hype. It's now Monday. I was gonna say Sunday. It's now Monday. It's been 2 days since Pujol, and I'm still wow, thinking about it a lot. So our reservation wasn't until 9:45 p.m. and the restaurant was still full. Loads of people had a reservation at 9:45 p.m. And when you come into the restaurant, it's super nice. They seated us at a nice table. The restaurant is actually relatively new. I think it was in a different location before, so this new setup is awesome. It's really beautiful, but it was dim lighting, which is why I didn't really take any video while we were in the restaurant. I will flash, just like when I did the Continuo video, which I'll link below. I will flash the dishes as I talk about them. Again, they let us keep the menu. It's really cool because it's dated from the date that you went, and then it's sealed with a little P for Pujol. So the menu is in Spanish. There are 2 degustation options. There are actually 3 degustation options. When you book, you initially choose whether you want to sit at the bar or you want to have a restaurant experience. And the seating at the bar is where you have I'm not going to get this right, the the taco degustation, and it's a 6 or 7 courses of different types of tacos. So if you want a meat-based meal, that is what you should choose. It also includes the mole, the famous mole madre, that is an option for you. I believe it's only available at lunch. I'm not 100% positive, but when you book on Open Table or on their website, you get to choose those sort of options. And then when you get to the restaurant, we chose the normal menu. You can either choose between the maíz, the corn option, or the mar, the seafood option. Luke and I both chose the mar. We did think about one of us getting the corn option and one of us getting the seafood option, but we're not good sharers, so we both really wanted to have some of the seafood. But again, both options have the mole, and one of the reasons that they date it for you is because they tell you exactly how old the mole is on the day that you're there. So for us, it was 1,913 days old. We'll get to the mole, guys. So the first course of the both options are the botanas, and it's basically a small little tostada. And if you've ever watched Chef's Table, you'll have seen the bowl. It looks like a pumpkin where they've taken the top off, and inside are 2 pieces of corn that have been barbecued on the grill and covered in a chicatane sauce. Chicatanes are ants. They are a very popular dish. They're used now in pretty much every restaurant in Mexico City in the modern cuisine world. Lorray used it. I'm sure we had some in Quintonil. We definitely had some in Sud 777. So yeah, it's very popular now. But it doesn't taste like ants. You have no idea you're eating bugs. Like, it's so delicious. So that was a really fun way to start the meal. It's like a share kind of plate, and I really, really enjoyed that. The next dish was láminas de chayote and pico de callo. So this was like a sort of ceviche kind of dish. The fish was cut up very small, and it was kind of ringed around chayote, which is like a sort of squash that's here in Mexico. It's super delicious. This was such a fresh way to kind of introduce the rest of the meal. I really enjoyed the chayote. It had like a little bite to it, and the fish was delicious. And then came the ceviche, as it were, which was made with striped bass, and then it had jugo de cacahuatzintle, apio and yuzu. I don't know what that is. Apio is celery. Yuzu is a type of Japanese fruit. It was the most delicious ceviche I've ever had. Sometimes when you have a ceviche, you know, like, you don't want to drink the juice. Like, you don't want to have a spoonful of just the juice. No. This was so delicious. It was almost sweet, but it still had that sour note. The fish was cubed quite, like, substantially sized for a ceviche. I've never really had ceviche like that before, but it was just amazing. I was like preparing to lick the corn husk that it was served in. Like, it was so good. I was also served with like popped pieces of corn, not like popcorn, but like corn kernels. Oh my goodness. What an interesting dish. I really, really enjoyed. Next came the octopus, which was kind of charred on the outside with a couple of spices, and then served with a carrot puree, which was so creamy and smooth. It was, I would never have guessed that it was carrots. It was so, so good. And I've never really had carrots with octopus before. And the octopus was just, it was perfect. It was so perfectly cooked. It was tender, but it still had a little bit of crunch on the outside. With that sauce, oh gosh. It was unbelievable. The octopus remains for me one of the best dishes on the menu. I love octopus. If you don't love seafood, the corn degustation is definitely the better option for you. I'll read through that at the end just to give you an idea about what the other menu had on it. Then came the striped bass like fillet, and that was cooked with a perfect crispy skin. The skin was so crunchy and salty. It was so good, and it was served with a tomato marmalade and plantain puree. Oh, the flavor of plantains was so strong in the puree, but it didn't like overpower the fish. The tomato marmalade was sweet and salty and sour, and together with the fish, on top of it was a fried hoja santa leaf. It was so beautiful. It was so delicate, but the fish was really meaty, and it really took on the flavors well of those like stronger plantain purees and the hoja santa and stuff. I really, really enjoyed it. That was classed, according to our waiter, as kind of the main course. That was the last meat we received on the menu. And then came the one and only mole madre. It is a plate with 2 moles on it, just the sauces. You get the 1,913-day-old mole, and then you get a new mole in the middle, and both were just outrageously delicious. Some people think that perhaps it should be served with a meat or something, protein, but I think that would dilute like how beautiful these sauces are. I mean, it's indescribable, the depth of that mole madre, the spice and zing and kind of like lightness of the new mole. It's just, I can't. I would go back and pay for this and go through this all again just to have that mole. I loved it so much. There were a few other courses in between. There was a tamarind sorbet. I really don't like tamarind. It was just, it tasted like tamarind. If you like tamarind, it would be delicious. It had a nice strong taste. It was very creamy, but I hate tamarind, so I'm sorry, I did not like the palate cleanser. And then came the dessert, which was really delicious. The dessert for this was a matcha sort of cake, but it was very light. It was like a rice cake kind of, as in like an Asian rice cake. not like a rice cake that you put your peanut butter on. So it was very pillowy, it was very soft, it had a kind of a strong flavor of seaweed. So it was an interesting dessert in that it wasn't crazy sweet. It was almost sour, and it just carried on with the notes of like all of the seafood. It was served with a lemon sorbet and a lychee, pieces of lychee. Oh, that was really good. I love lychee. So delicious, so fresh. And although I'm a huge fan of sweet desserts, I did enjoy this. I was just a little bit disappointed that there wasn't something like sweeter. And just as I was saying that to Luke, out came a little basket of churros. The churros were outrageously good. They were crunchy on the outside, they were fluffy and chewy and almost like a donut on the inside. There was no dipping sauce, but it was covered with cinnamon and sugar, and it was so good. I really enjoyed our whole experience. We had a few cocktails. Their margaritas were awesome. They also do a couple of their own cocktails, which Luke tried, he really enjoyed. Plenty of mezcal options. They do wine, they have beers, obviously non-alcoholic beverages also, but we just had a great experience. They weren't rushing us. The courses were really well timed, and we didn't actually leave the restaurant until almost 1 o'clock in the morning, so there was no rush. I was concerned that getting there for 9:45, they might like try and get you out quickly, but no. They were happy for us to sit and have another cocktail and enjoy the atmosphere. And when we left, they had little like candy sweets that they'd made. I had a guava one, Luke had a coconut one, and it was just a really nice experience. Pujol definitely know what they're doing when it comes to customer service, and it comes to kind of creating a really relaxing and enjoyable atmosphere in a restaurant. Since going to Pujol, several people have asked me Pujol or Quintanil, and I genuinely couldn't choose between the two. If you have time and finances to go to both while you're in Mexico City, you should. But they're both completely different. The Quintanil experience was perhaps pushing the boundaries more with the menu, whereas Pujol was pushing the boundaries when they first opened, but I think that the staple items on their menu now are part of who they are, and the mole is just I've said outrageously good like 6 times already in this video, but I loved it so much. I would go back and have just that again. It was amazing. I loved all the seafood dishes. I love seafood, so it was a really great experience for me. The corn menu, which I'll just read quickly to you, also starts with the botanas. Your second course is a tlayuda with garbanzo and requesón. Requesón is one of my favorite cheeses in Mexico. It's very fresh, very light. The next is huitlacoche and black truffle. Delicious. Huitlacoche is a type of corn fungus. The direct translation is corn smut, but it's basically like a mushroom that grows on corn. It's very delicious. And then there's an egg and chile tomate with papadzul. Then there is a camote with a type of mole and olives. And then there's the mole madre, and then the dessert, which I probably would have preferred to the dessert that I did receive, which is a coffee tamal with ginger ice cream. It looked so delicious. It was a great experience. I really loved it. If you've been to Pujol, let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't, are you interested? Are you trying to toss up between a few different restaurants on your trip? Let me know in the comments, and I will try to answer all of your questions. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!